just sitting there with our signs that said, like, we love Sophie, like, thank you, Sophie, for speaking up. And so we were holding on, just watching the game. Again, like, we were being super great. We hadn't said anything to anyone else. We were being super respectful. We were just holding our signs and cheering for both teams. And this lady, older lady, comes up to us. And she comes up to us, and at first I think she's going to be nice. And she asks, like, what are you guys doing? Something like that. And then it was like, Jesus loves.
Before we dive into this shocking story, leave a quick comment below. Do you think team owners should face punishment for yelling at fans? Share your opinion in the comments right now. What we are witnessing at the moment is nothing short of a complete public relations meltdown for the WNBA. The league office appears to be dealing with one of the biggest crises in its recent history. If you believe the on-court physical battles were the biggest storyline of the season, think again. The controversy has now spilled into the stands, involving teenage fans, heated political debates, and a high-ranking WNBA team owner who allegedly lost control. Just a few days ago, on July 28th, the Indiana Fever took on the Seattle Storm. However, the biggest confrontation didn't happen on the court, it happened courtside. According to reports, Seattle Storm co-owner Celeste Keaton was suspended by the league after she allegedly used abusive language toward young fans who were supporting Sophie Cunningham. The backlash quickly grew so intense that the Seattle organization was forced to release an emergency public apology in an effort to contain the controversy.
Seattle Storm situation is going very south fast. Now we have other big-time business people being accused and caught on film harassing Indiana Fever fans, and these young ladies held a rally for anti-trans. Now during this rally, nothing happened. It was calm. But the Seattle Storm co-owner, who has now been suspended, by the way, we're going to talk about that, made it her business to make sure these young ladies have a very, very tough night that night. And that's exactly what she did. Now, I said this once and I'll say it again. If I'm these young ladies' parents, I'm quickly, in a hurry, talking to legal. We have to sue not only the Seattle Storm, but you have to sue the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark's team has found itself at the center of a major public relations crisis, while the WNBA is scrambling to manage the growing backlash from fans. Don't miss a single second of this video, because we are breaking down every aspect of what has become one of the most controversial executive scandals in recent WNBA history. Let's dive right in. To understand how this situation escalated, we have to start with the key figure at the center of the controversy, Sophie Cunningham. The relationship between Cunningham's public remarks and the league's political climate has evolved into one of the most divisive storylines in professional sports. Last week, Cunningham stepped into the spotlight during a widely discussed ESPN profile. She made her position unmistakably clear, expressing support for restrictions that would prevent transgender girls and women from competing in female sports. She explained that her goal was to protect young girls from competing against biological males, framing her comments around fairness and athlete safety. When those remarks were released, the internet erupted. Almost immediately, supporters and critics across the world seized on her comments, turning them into a major point of debate. The issue quickly became one of the biggest flashpoints in sports, drawing passionate praise from some audiences and strong criticism from others.
Really important to protect children, and that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that.
Yeah. Do you see your advocacy on that, like, taking any form going forward?
You know, I don't know. I'm not a very political person, but I do have beliefs. I have morals, and I'll always stand on those and be true to who I am. And I think people are going to take it how they want to take it, but I've never even really said anything about that. And so when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. That's why you have some of the greats in women's sports. If Title IX and women's sports weren't protected, then you wouldn't hear about any type of women in sport. And so I think in the future, it's just really important to protect.
Okay, great opportunity for the WNBA, right? Because it's like an 80-20 issue. Most Americans don't believe that boys should play against the girls. And you're talking about a women's sport league. That's what you're talking about. Women's basketball. If you let the biological men play, you end up with the movie Juwanna Mann, or alternatively, Lady Ballers. A 14-year-old high school freshman boys starting varsity player at any decent public school in America would torch these ladies. That is just a reality. Okay, that is not sexist. That is called reality. 14-year-old boys all over America are dunking The WNBA with biological men would just be called the NBA, and the ladies would...
When the Indiana Fever traveled to Seattle for their July 28th matchup, the stage was already set for controversy. Emotions were running high long before tip-off. Before the game, a large demonstration formed outside Climate Pledge Arena. Dozens of supporters gathered to show their backing for Sophie Cunningham, carrying signs and promoting a local ballot initiative that reflected her views. The atmosphere was already tense, and several supporters brought those signs into the arena. All it took was one spark to ignite the situation, and, according to reports, that spark came from an alleged courtside confrontation involving a member of the Seattle Storm organization. During the game, two teenage fans were seated in the stands holding signs that read, "Thank you, Sophie, for speaking up for girls." Rather than allowing the fans to express their opinions, reports claim that a prominent individual confronted them in an emotional exchange. According to independent journalists, the woman allegedly approached the teenagers, called them F***ing insane, ***, and reportedly said, "I hope Jesus can forgive you for the sin you've committed." Those allegations quickly fueled widespread debate and intensified the controversy surrounding the incident.
Over and blessed them out and used the F word. And so she was suspended. What was your reaction to this?
Well, it's important to know who these girls are and, of course, the setting of where this game took place. It happened in Seattle, the state of Washington. These girls are 16-year-old girls. They're in high school. One of the girls, her name is Annalie Wilson. She's a 16-year-old runner from Washington State who has taken a stand. Why has she taken a stand? Because she has had to live these policies. Actually, Annalie, she placed second at, I believe it was the Kashmir Junior Olympics regional track meet in the 1600. She lost to a boy. Since then, she's had to find herself standing up before school boards to her peers and to classmates and to teachers and to adults. What she told me was that Sophie's courage has inspired a generation of young athletes. She says that it is such a relief now to know that someone, especially when it comes from a professional female athlete, has their back. Mm-hmm. And now here she is, as you said, supporting Sophie, and she's being heckled by grown men and grown women, which now to the left, that's considered progressive. It's just sad that young girls, 16-year-old girls, have to be the adults in the room.
Yeah. You know, the young lady, one of the girls that you're talking about, the athlete, she was wearing an XXXY t-shirt, and that's the apparel company that was created by Jennifer Say, who is the gymnast, the former gymnast. And their mission is really just to focus on protecting women's sports. Here's Jennifer reacting to it. Listen to this.
I'm so proud of those two young girls. They're so grateful to have Sophie so loudly and full-throatedly in our court. These young girls have been going it alone, and to have a star from the WNBA stand up and say, yeah, girls deserve their own sports is such a huge win and a vote of confidence for these girls, and they feel like they're no longer alone.
You know, she started that company. You're wearing one of those T-shirts, too, just to protect women. And it goes back to what Sophie said. She said, there's a safe space and love for everybody. Everybody's welcome at my table. Sophie, the basketball player, says this. But she said, I want to support women.
When the identity of the woman involved reportedly became public, the sports world was stunned. According to multiple reports, it wasn't an ordinary fan. It was allegedly Seattle Storm minority owner Celeste Keaton, a team executive accused of confronting and using profane language toward teenage girls because of the signs they were holding. The situation quickly escalated into a major controversy. Reports claimed that the girls were met with relentless booing from nearby spectators, while some accounts also alleged that Seattle players made thumbs-down gestures in their direction. For the WNBA, a league working to build on its rapidly growing popularity, the incident created a significant public relations challenge. Allegations that a team owner had confronted young fans supporting the opposing team quickly became a national talking point as criticism continued to grow. Pressure on the league office reportedly intensified. With public attention increasing by the minute, league officials were expected to respond. The controversy threatened to overshadow the league's positive momentum, making the situation one of the biggest PR challenges of the season.
Girls holding a thank you, Sophie, for speaking up for girls sign and calling them effing insane. One was in tears by halftime. The girls were backing Fever guard Sophie Cunningham, who said she wants biologically men kept out of women's sports. The Storm apologized once in with public. Cunningham is not sending the two girls gifts. She called Keaton's meltdown truly embarrassing. So Sophie Cunningham is sending the two girls some gifts, man. So I'm guessing Sophie talked about this. I wonder how they find out Sophie sending them girls something. So the owner has been suspended for 5 games. I just feel like 5 games is just not enough. It's just not enough, bro. She should be banned. These was kids. This is like a hate crime in a sense. She verbally abused someone else's children. This is very bad, guys. Like 5 games is not enough. Then y'all didn't release the type of fine. This is why we cannot take this league serious, because they do things like this that make us not want to watch it, bro. Not want to watch it at all. Now, Tuesday Fever game, one of the 16-year-old girls stayed up the night before making the sign, then spent halftime crying courtside. A couple of Storm players gave the girls a thumbs down to their face. A man told them to take out the trash on their way out. The team's apology: everyone who attends a Storm game deserves to feel welcome. Now, Sophie Cunningham, like I stated, did state, well, this has been reported that she's going to send them something, but there is video that has been released of a fan telling these young ladies they are trash. This is a bad look. And this ain't just no rinky-dink person. This is a corporate guy connected to Nordstrom's.
On Thursday, the league officially announced that Celeste Keaton had been issued a substantial fine and suspended from attending Seattle Storm home games for 5 contests. The decision marked a significant disciplinary action against a team owner and immediately drew widespread attention. The suspension meant Keaton was barred from her own team's arena for 5 home games, underscoring the league's effort to address the controversy and protect its public image. The incident placed the Seattle Storm organization under intense scrutiny. Majority owner Jenny Gilder was then forced to release a swift public apology. In her statement, she acknowledged the reported comments and apologized, emphasizing that every fan should feel welcome and respected at Storm games. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's team, the Indiana Fever, attempted to distance itself from the controversy. The organization, along with head coach Stephanie White, declined to answer questions regarding the pro-Cunningham rally. During the media session, a team public relations representative also stepped in, stating that the organization had no prior knowledge of the demonstration. Their focus remained on basketball following the Fever's impressive 105-95 victory.
Finally, someone has said something, and I don't really look at either side of those, because I know whatever I say, I'm going to get hate and I'm going to get love. And if I'm going to live by the love, I'm going to die by the hate. And that's just not who I am. I beat to my own drum. And so people are always going to have something to say. You could win the championship. You could be the best at whatever it is. And there's still people who are going to hate on you. And so that's just what this world is. So I'm confident in who I am. I'm proud of who I am. I'm happy being me. And I'm going to continue to be that.
You always had kind of that mentality when it comes to, people saying things, or is that something you've built and learned to adapt over time?
I think I've always kind of been able to, handle that type of pressure, I would say, and the type of eyes and the type of people who have comments. And like I said, there's going to be some negative comments, but there's also a whole bunch of positive comments too that no one really ever, people hate positivity for some reason. I have no idea why, but there's a lot of positive comments too when it comes to that. And so, it is what it is. Like I said, we're all human. We're no one's perfect here. And so I really don't care what other people have to say. I know who I am. My people know who I am. And hopefully I'm doing them proud and making room for young boys and girls in our world to have a better future than we did. I think people are going to take it how they want to take it, but I've never even really said anything about that. And so when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that. I think that's why you have Title IX. That's why you have some of the greats in women's sports. If Title IX and women's sports weren't protected, then you wouldn't hear about any type of women in sport. And so I think in the future, it's just really important to protect.
Do you think, I guess along the line like that, it goes against perhaps, some people might say, hey, for the trans community, this could be something that could come back on us or be targeted against us. Like, how do you, I guess, view that sort of critique?
Like I said, I extend love, and I don't dislike anyone. Like, I think there is room for absolutely everyone here, and I think there's room to love everyone. And I truly think when you get people in the same room and you have conversations, you actually have a lot in common with a lot of people. And so I'm there to love, but I'm also there to love biological women, and I think that there are rights that need to be protected. And like I said, I'm going to stand true to that. I'll never falter in my beliefs in that, but I have never once said I hated the trans community.
We've rarely seen a controversy of this scale in professional basketball. What began as a political debate has reportedly escalated into a major courtside incident, resulting in the suspension of a team owner and placing the WNBA under intense public scrutiny. The league believed it could manage the growing tensions, but the backlash from fans has continued to build, with many calling for greater accountability. Now, I want to hear your opinion. Do you think a 5-game suspension is enough if a team owner allegedly used abusive language toward teenage fans? And do you believe Sophie Cunningham was justified in using her platform to express her views? Share your honest thoughts in the comments below and join the discussion. If you enjoy in-depth coverage of the biggest stories surrounding the WNBA, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest updates as this story continues to develop.